Hey, friends, welcome to yet another episode of Learn Live. We are here today in live to talk about Microsoft Fabric and more specifically to get started with data warehouse in Microsoft Fabric. I'm Christopher and I have a wonderful co host and colleague. Hello, David.
Hi, Christopher. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome everybody from all over US, Canada, Europe, Africa. Welcome for those in Nigeria. I see your comment already. Welcome everybody. Today we'll be talking about getting started with data warehouse in Microsoft Fabric.
Yeah, and we are both on the
Okay.
same team. We are both cloud advocates in data engineering and analytics space, but we are only two on screens, but there is an entire team behind us. So please send a shout out to our production teams in the chat. And in the chat, you will also find another of our colleague, Shannon, that will be here to answer your questions. So do not hesitate to ask any question you may have directly in the chat. Shannon will be here to answer some of them, and we will also take fun of one of a few questions live and answer them in here. So if you want to follow along this module, you have on screen right now the link. I think we'll be able to paste it as well in the comments. And you have various ways to enjoy this show. You can just sit back and relax and listen to us showcasing both some instructional content and also some exercise, some demos. You can follow along as well. If you have like maybe two screens, you can open up this Microsoft Learn Live module and follow along. And obviously, this Learn Live module will be available also after the session. So you will be able to enjoy on your own pace, on your own time after the show as well. I already said it, but this is a live event, so do not hesitate to make it interactive. You have a chat window available. Please just say hi if you want, and then ask any question you may have or comment on what we are saying. So today's episode is about data warehouse with Microsoft Fabric, but this episode is actually a part of a series of episodes. We are just getting half of the episode done, and I think David, you were maybe just a moderator, but you were on a previous episode, right?
Yeah, I've been to two episodes already, and I moderated. I think I've moderated two actually, and it has been very wonderful because you learn a whole lot about the capability of Microsoft Fabric and the things that Microsoft Fabric can do when it comes to an end-to-end solution.
Yeah, we started this series in late August, and we still have a few episodes coming up in the next couple of weeks. But gives really you a great overview of what is Microsoft Fabric. And if you don't know Microsoft Fabric, don't worry, we'll see that in a little more detail today. And also, all the previous episodes are already available on demand. So do not hesitate to go on our YouTube channel to watch out the previous episodes. And of course, this episode is also recorded, and you will be able to see the recording later on. If you want to continue your learning journey about Microsoft Fabric, we also have opened up a Fabric Cloud Skill Challenge. You can join it on this link, aka.ms/fabric-csc. I think there is already more than 800 people who joined this challenge, which is great. And basically, during this challenge, you will go through a series of learn modules to really give you a quick start about Microsoft Fabric and being able to start doing your own very first project with Microsoft Fabric. Before we skip to the actual content of this session, we just wanted to do a last bit of information about getting access to Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric right now is in public preview, so it's not yet ready for production workloads at the time of recording. It will be later in a date to be announced. But you can already enjoy Microsoft Fabric using a free trial. However, depending on what kind of account you have, like if you're part of an enterprise or part of a school maybe or university, the way you get access to Microsoft Fabric and choose a free trial may differ. So one of our colleagues in our team, I wrote a wonderful blog post. You can get access to it with batlink aka.ms/upgrade to Fabric
Yeah.
to explain the different steps to get access to again a free trial of Microsoft Fabric.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
for the learning objective for today, why we dive into data warehouse, also understand that we are breaking every every topic to a kind of an 100 level, so that everybody can understand data warehouse within the context of Microsoft Fabric. So one of our objectives today is describing what data warehouse is in Fabric, understanding the difference between a data warehouse versus a data lakehouse. How do we work within data warehouse in Fabric, and how do we create and manage the data set within a data warehouse? At the end of today, we should be able to do an end-to-end solution for you to see how we work within warehouse down to creating reports. Over to you, Christopher.
Yeah, and so as an introduction, I wanted to take a little bit of step back and explain what is Microsoft Fabric and what is the data warehouse within Microsoft Fabric. And we will be using through this presentation some of these little drawings. We call them Fabric notes. You can access a bunch of them at aka.ms/fabric notes. So Microsoft Fabric is a unified analytics solution. So basically, within one product, you get all your analytics storage, all tools that you will need to extract, to load information from operational databases or other services into your analytical storage, process that data either for, I would say, simple BI consumption, even if sometimes it's not so simple, or even for working with data science workload, like training your own AI model on your own data and exposing these AI models. And also integrating all real-time analytics capabilities. All of this under one single system, one UI. And if you don't know it, we will see it in a few minutes. For today's episode, we will focus, as we said, on the data warehouse. David, in a minute, will explain to you what is data warehouse if you're just discovering this topic, and what a few things that are important within Microsoft Fabric is you will see it's very easy to set up a new data warehouse. Actually, that's the step 2 in our exercise later today. It will take really a couple of seconds, that's it. And then we will be able, within the data warehouse, to create some tables and do everything you expect from data warehouse, either as a SQL developer, and even we will see if you don't know SQL, you will have like visual option, low code options to manipulate and query your data warehouse. And one of the specifics of Microsoft Fabric is everything you store within Microsoft Fabric is stored in something that is called OneLake, which means that even if you are a big data warehouse user, other workloads, so your colleague that are maybe data scientists or data engineers, they will be able to query, update, manipulate the data within your data warehouse from their side of the world. So from the real-time side of the world, or a data scientist could easily tap into the data that is already present into your data warehouse to do something, create a model or use a model to augment the data you have on your data warehouse. So I think we can go next and start talking about what is data warehouse. What are the fundamental things we need to know about data warehouse?
Okay, thank you very much, Christopher. when we understand data warehouse, we should first understand that we are really talking about the process at which we store data. And there are different processes when we are building it. And it consists of one, data ingestion, where we move data from different sources back into the data warehouse in which we are using. And also is that for also data storage. Now, there is always a format in which we use to store data depending on what we are using. For Fabric also, we use a package file, package storage way where we use to store data. And also is that for data processing. Now, one of the things about data warehouse is that when we are transforming the data into the format that we want to use to consume for the analysis, and it's so important for us to understand the different data formats in which we want to use for our analytic end-to-end project. The last process is what we call the data analysis and delivery. The end goal of every data injection is data analysis at the end of the day, because no matter the injections that you do or how you store them, you want to be able to analyze them. So you analyzing them is one of the biggest process when building a modern data warehouse. Now, one thing that understanding the Fabric data warehouse experience is that you need to understand that it has the full transactional statistical capability that you want to expect from an enterprise data warehouse. So it's so important for you to have that understanding when working with Microsoft Fabric. Now, from this, you are going to see how we work with the data warehouse. Right now, we go from the relational data side down to the star schema. And for those who don't understand, star schema is more of having connections or models that is connecting your facts table to your dimension table. And your facts table, like I always tell people, is those data that occurs recurrently, that happens every time. And your dimensions don't really happen. So they give more context to those things that is in your fact table. So this work is done by Christopher. We call it the fabric note. And so it gives you a visual explanation of what star schema or of what anything that we are trying to say in Fabric is. So designing a data warehouse like whole relational database, Fabric data warehouse contains tables that you store for data then that happens into the analytic later. So most commonly, these tables are organized in a schema that is optimized for multidimensional analysis or modeling. And so in this approach right now, we have numeric data related to different attributes. So you have your dim date, you have your publisher, you have your author. So those are the things that we are looking for when we are trying to now go into the analytic side of our data. So now, when we talk about the different tables in warehouse, so tables in warehouse, they are different. You have your surrogate key and your alternate key. And I'm going to be talking to Christopher. Christopher, what are the explanations that you have for surrogate key and the alternate key?
Sure. So I've just seen in the Fabric notes, we are importing data from sources that could be a production database, that could be an external system like a SaaS application, etc., or even Excel spreadsheets. And we are trying to process that data and store this in a place where our data is tailored for our analytical needs. That's two different needs between what we need in an operational, in a production database, and what we need in an analytical database. And basically, what you can see on this Fabric Notes is how we take an existing production database and make one version of the possible schema that will end up into a data warehouse. And because of this, because analytical data stores, they are here to store years and years of data and to be quite stable. While relational operational databases, developers are constantly adding new fields, changing things, etc. And even through the scope of like a dozen year or 20 years of data, maybe the source of a specific data will change over time because we will rewrite an application or we will change system uh, going from application A to application B. Uh, Fact is, when we are doing these kind of changes in the production databases or analytical table here in this example, the fact book table should remain pretty much the same, even for older records or new records. So when there is a relationship between different entities, what we try to do is to get our own ID within the data warehouse schema. Because if for any reason the actual foreign key changes on the production database, we don't want to be to impact all the historical data we already store in the data warehouse. So a surrogate key is basically a key that will allow you to make a link between what is in a fact table and what is in a dimension table that is not related to the actual key used to do that same relationship in the production database. And the actual key used in a production database most of the time is also stored in the data warehouse, and we call it an alternate key, which is like a business key, something that is used in the business process we are trying to analyzing. So it's like the same concept. We are creating a relationship. The only thing we are doing here is we are decoupling these keys from the relational database to the star schema's data warehouse, just to ensure that if something changes over time, we can keep all the history of links that already exist in the data warehouse database.
Okay, great. So one of the things that we also are taking from it is to understand the differences between the surrogate key and the other key. Now, when we go to the star schema designs itself, there's so many informations about star schema that we might not be able to talk. But one thing there is that when we use star schema, one of the things we are trying to do is to reduce duplications when we are designing star schema, reduce duplications. So oftentimes a data warehouse is organized as a star schema in which that the fact table is directly related to the dimensions table. And also is that we have different attributes of something to group together numbers in the fact table at different levels. So, for example, you are trying to do total sales revenue of a region or of a customer. So, the sales is, let's say, in the fact table, and the customer attribute or the region attribute is in the dimension table. So those connections is something that we are talking about. So the next side of it is we're going to understanding the data warehouse within Fabric itself. So within the context of Microsoft Fabric, what do we mean by data warehouse? And I'm going to be shifting it back to Christopher.
Yeah, thanks, David. Um, if you've watched previous episode of his Learn Life series, you may have heard about the Lakehouse. And if you're just glancing over the screen, Lakehouse and Warehouse, they seem pretty much the same, but actually they're very, very different. In a Lakehouse, basically what you're doing is you're storing information mostly as tables, but mostly for conception. So you may have a process like a pipeline or notebook that is actually creating the data and ingesting that data into a Lakehouse table. But when it's done, the only thing basically you are doing is you're querying Lakehouse. While the warehouse is much more closer to like a fully fledged database where you can create tables, you can create store procedures, you can do CRUD operation on the data, which means you can create a line, a row, you can update it, you can delete it as well. Which is not something you do most of the time in the Lakehouse. Basically, in the Lakehouse, when you want to um, import some data, either you're completely erasing a destination table or you're just adding some more data at the end of the table. While we're in a warehouse, you can do any type of modifications. Um, the Lakehouse, one of the main way to access the Lakehouse is using a SQL endpoint for Lakehouse, which is also T-SQL, but with like a very narrow coverage of T-SQL function. And in the Fabric warehouse, you get like the full power, if we can say, of T-SQL. Depending on your organization and the way you're handling data, you have different use cases for using a warehouse. You can just use a warehouse and store all your data in it. And with the elasticity of Microsoft Fabric, you can store 10 of terabytes of data within a single warehouse. Or you can associate a lakehouse and a warehouse. If you heard about Lakehouse prior to this episode, you may have heard about the medallion architecture, where basically we have different set of data, bronze, silver, and gold. And as we are moving towards the gold layer, we are having a data that is at a much higher quality and also much more aggregated than in the bronze layer. And basically, the bronze layer is like just a copy of the data you get from the source system without any manipulation at all. And one of the things we are saying with Microsoft Fabric is you can use the Lakehouse for storing and manipulating the bronze and silver layer and exposing the gold layer with a data warehouse. So that's one of the things you can do with Microsoft Fabric, and we will see later in this episode how you can actually mix up Lakehouse and warehouses very easily through SQL and other means. One thing we wanted also to clear out, because it's like the first thing you need to do in a data warehouse, and David introduced it early on, is ingesting data into your warehouse. And you can see through that Fabric notes that we have actually a lot of different ways to ingest data into your warehouse. And this list is not even complete. I will add for you a few more items in there. But basically, if you want to import data from existing relational databases, you can use data pipelines, which is, if you know Azure Data Factory, it's very similar in nature to the pipelines you get in Azure Data Factory. So basically, you're creating a pipeline with like no code or very low code approach to copy data from one source to a destination. That destination could be a data warehouse, and you can schedule it. And data pipelines are made to load a very large amount of volumes, and to do it in a repeated fashion. So maybe every day or every hours, you can launch and schedule actually a pipeline to import all your data. If you want to import data but also transform it in a low code or code free approach, then you can use data flows, and to be exact, data flows Gen 2. That's also an option you may have. And as you can see on the slides, I will not go over through all these techniques, but depending on your data source, you will probably find a way to easily import data into a data warehouse. one thing I wanted to mention here is you can see that there is an auto create destination table column. A data warehouse contains tables and views, etc. But at the heart, it contains tables. So you need to define a table with like the name of columns and the type of data that these columns holds. And some of these activities allow you to automatically create a destination table without having to issue a create table SQL statement. Of course, you can do that, and depending on how you are organizing your data warehouse, you want to do that, especially for the tables that are used for reporting. You probably want to be the owner of the schema and not let an automated tool actually auto-generate that schema for you. It seems that we have a question from the audience. Can a data warehouse use a shortcut to get the data from a data lake?
Yeah.
I will answer. I think I will answer that question later on. But basically, yes, it's could be quite easy to connect a data lake, Lakehouse, to a data warehouse. And actually, I don't need to answer that because I have the answer right here. Here, it's the last line of my slide. Lakehouse and warehouse data. So actually, you can do cross warehouse or cross lakehouse queries. So within your data warehouse, you can say insert into that table and then do a select from delta tables you have in your lakehouse. This is only valid for delta tables in the lakehouse. If you happen to have your data as files, for example, as JSON files within your lakehouse, you will need to use another tool here in the tool belt. And David, you wanted to add something?
So even also Shannon has answered that question already, that it has to come through the Lakehouse side. If it comes through the Lakehouse side, is more easier than through the SQL, the SQL endpoint. You continue from there.
Yeah, and I wanted to add on top of that if you are using a lakehouse, let's say maybe you're a data scientist and you're trying to find new data to train a new AI model, within a lakehouse, you can create a shortcut to a data warehouse table. So it works in both ways. From a data warehouse, you can query a lakehouse, and from a lakehouse, you can query a data warehouse.
Yeah. So also there's another question that says, can we copy activity from an on-premise relational source already?
That's a good question. I haven't tested it yet, but I assume the data gateway should be working. Actually, I will double check that later on. I haven't tested it myself, but we should be able to do it through an on-prem data gateway.
Okay. Okay, we can go to the next slide.
Oh yes. So when you're creating a table in a data warehouse, as I hinted a little bit earlier, there is a new things you need to be aware of. First, most of the time, when we are using one of the facilities I've listed here, like the create table as select or insert into select or copy into, all of these are SQL statements to copy data from a source to a table in the data warehouse. These destination tables, most of the time, will be what we called staging tables, because you may have data that is improperly formatted. You may have data that is incorrect. So what you're doing most of the time is you're loading the data into your data warehouse as staging tables, and then you will be able to uh, basically fill in the tables you have created for your star schema, so your dimension tables and fact tables. And what we are doing most of the time is first we are loading the dimension tables, but you can see another way of defining the dimension tables. If you are a Power BI user, you know you can have filters on the right of your report, and you can have values like books categories. Uh, Book category, that could be a dimension table, and fact table is the numerical data that you're actually analyzing. Yeah, you want to count on it, you want to sum, or you want to compute an average. This is going to the fact table, and that's a second part of the process. And obviously, because it's database in its way, you might have to add indexes or to update existing indexes to get the better performance out of the data you're storing into your data warehouse. As I said in the introduction, Microsoft Fabric is at the time of airing this episode in a public preview, which means that is not yet complete and not yet ready for production workloads. So there are some limitations to be aware of about tables in data warehouse. You have a link here to the documentation of the product to give a better understanding of what these limitations are. And I think we can switch to the next section, which is query and transform data. But before that, David, is there any question in the chat we might want to take before jumping into the next section?
Shana is doing a great work because she's answering most of the questions. And shout out to Scott Power, doing also answering some questions. For now, there are no questions for now.
Okay, cool. So let's get to query and transform data. So with Microsoft Fabric, you have two easy way to stay into the data warehouse. I'm not talking about connecting it to another tools, but within the data warehouse experience, you have basically two ways to query and transform data in your data warehouse. The first one is simply using SQL code. And actually, let me jump to my demo environment very quick so I can show you what this look like. So here I am in the Microsoft Fabric website, the app. And as you can see, I can explore the schema of my data warehouse. That's actually the data warehouse we will create during the exercise later on this show. And I can create a new SQL query and start doing some querying. So let's say, for example, select top 100 from this table, and I launch the execution of this query, and within a few seconds, I will get the result back. Here, I'm just getting started, so it's a little bit taking a few seconds to actually start processing the query, and I get the results. I can download the Excel file if I just want to do a quick analysis. I can visualize the result. Oh yes, if I select it. So I can already get like a small Power BI report to actually visualize the data sets I have. I will not go through all of this. And you also have something that is very cool, depending on what your background, your technical background, is a visual query editor.
Yeah, I love the visual query because at the end of it, for those who are not kind of good when it comes to their technical background in SQL, they can just do anything that they want to do just by clicking. As in, it's just so marvelous. I love this part, and I'm happy we're going to be showing it later on for people to experience how to run visual queries within Fabric.
Yeah, that's really great tool, and on top of that, you can do a ton of different things. But you can also view the actual SQL code. So you can go from create a visual query editor and then create a view on your table, because you can export the result of that visual query as an actual SQL statement. And the last thing I wanted to show you, because it's also something very interesting for data warehouse users, is all of these queries, they get automatically saved into the workspace. So you can see here my queries. I can obviously rename them, and I can also share them very easily with the rest of my team. I just need to go here. Yeah, I have done nothing here. So SQL query 2 moved to shared queries, and it would be moved to shared queries folder. And then if I shared that workspace with David, for example, it would get access to that as well. So very easy to actually use it. So these two ways of accessing, querying and transforming data into the Microsoft Fabric data warehouse are actually, I would say, the integrated one. But obviously, as I said, if you're using the Lakehouse, you can get access to the Fabric warehouse data as well. And the Fabric warehouse is also exposed as a SQL endpoint. So actually, any SQL client, which means Azure Data Studio, Azure SSMS, or your own code, if you have a SQL driver, database driver installed in your programming language, you can actually create any code, create a web app that will query the data that is stored into Microsoft Fabric. And of course, we will see that later on, but you can connect Power BI to a Fabric Data Warehouse, or Excel to a Fabric Data Warehouse. That should be obvious, but it's better to say it out loud.
Yeah, I agree.
David, do you want to talk us about a little bit how we can prepare data for analysis and reporting with Fabric Data Warehouse?
Yeah. So this part is where I'm in love with, because most of the time, the things that we do at the back end, the engineering, the warehousing, the modeling side, what makes the work beautiful is the reports that we give at the end of the day. So the work that we give at the end of the day. So let's look at what do we do? How do we prepare data for analysis and also for reporting within the data warehouse of Microsoft Fabric? Now, a data model defines the relationship between the different tables that we have within the data set. The rule um, for how data is aggregated or summarized, and the calculations and measures that are used to derive insight for data. So I'm also going to take you to the our page right now in the app website, where we have the work that we've done a little bit. Now, if we go to the model view, if we go to the model, now when we have the tables that are connected already, I'm going to kind of reduce it a little bit so that we can all see. Now you can see the different the four tables that are connected to each other. And we can also have the dim product, the dimension dates, the dim customers, and the fact sales. So remember that we have the warehouse whereby we brought all the tables in. You remember the data injection. But right now, because we want to prepare for analysis, we need to start thinking about the star schema, how to connect to how to make the data preparable for their analysis. So right now we've been able to connect to them. So right now, if you can see, we have to find in the key that connects the dimension to also the fact tables. If you see right now, I can actually, let's say I delete this just for practice sake. So when I delete this, and let's assume that we need to connect the dates to the fact sales. So we need to look at what connects both. So we have our sales order date key and also date key. So I'm just going to drag and drop, drag and drop. I drop it, and and it loads, and we are good to go. So we just wait a little bit, and we are going to see it getting connected. So let's try it again. Let's see. uh, okay, good. So it brings out the create relationship for us to know. For those who use Power BI a lot, you will understand this part. For us to understand the cardinality and the cross reference direction in which we want it. So we have the one to many and single, and we depending on what you want, either you want to assume refresher integrity, depending on. So for now, we'll leave that, and but we make this relationship active because we want the table to talk to each other. So we click confirm between the two tables, and we are good to go. So one thing there is that to make sure that the data or the tables that we want to use for our report are connected to each other, and so we are good to go. Now the next thing that we want to look at is actually understanding data sets, because we need to understand the fabric meaning of data sets. So every time a data warehouse is created, one beautiful thing that happens is that fabric automatically creates a data set for the analysts and also business users to connect to for reporting. So if I give you, for example, let's come back here and let me go to my workspace. So I'm going to click my workspace right now. So now this is our data warehouse, and this is warehouse. This is the data set automatically, and you can see that is already default already. So whenever we create ingest data into warehouse, immediately it gives us a default data set, and the data set are a semantic model with metric that I use to create reports. Simply put, is that analysts use the data model you created in your warehouse, which is stored in a data set. So if you are familiar with Power BI, working with data sets created by the data warehouse experience will be just straightforward. Now, data sets are automatically kept in sync with the data warehouse. So anytime anything changes, it's just an easy way for you to maintain them. You can also create your own custom data set to meet your specific needs. Now, and remember that we are still in the public preview, so there's so many limitations that we might still have. But if you want to understand those limitations, those things that is happening across the default data set, you can read it up here.
And David,
And
we have a few questions in the chat that I'm
okay,
worth answering right now. The first question is the data set you're creating here to query the data warehouse. Is it connected to Direct Lake, sorry, or not? So maybe we can explain what Direct Lake is, and then answer this question.
okay. Let's start with the direct link. But for this question itself, for this is actually just SQL straight up. Then also I'm going to show you how we did it, but it is from the SQL, and we are going to see how we ingest those data. But do you want to talk about the direct link, Christopher?
Yeah, so for Power BI users, there are two import modes. The first one is import, which is copies the data from the source into Power BI and then process the data at the Power BI side of things. You get blazing fast querying performance within Power BI, but each time you need to refresh the data, it might take a while, and a while could be several hours, sometimes on a large data sets. On the opposite side of things, you have the direct query mode, which allows you to directly query the data. So each time you're changing a filter, for example, within Power BI will generate a new query and send it to the data source, which means that there is no refresh because you don't need to bulk load all that data. But each time you're clicking on a filter, yeah, it takes some time, so maybe a few minutes to actually refresh the data based on your new filters. Direct Lake is a new mode that is appearing with Microsoft Fabric, where Power BI is able to basically kind of combine the two modes, which are no needs to run any imports, but you get blazing fast performance by querying data over the Lakehouse. Right now, as of today, the direct lake mode is only available in the Lakehouse, but
Yeah,
watch out the Fabric blog for updates on this area.
I agree. So right now, when we are working on preparing for analysis, at the end of the day, we want to visualize it. So Fabric enables you to visualize the result of a single query or your entire data warehouse without leaving the data warehouse experience. And it's just with one click, you go into Power BI and you start doing your report. And there's so many amazing things coming up for visualized data, like in Microsoft Build, where we saw the way Fabric is. But right now, it's just with one click, you're good to go in creating um, your your report. I think before we go to the next thing, which is secure and monitor your data warehouse, there is a question called confusing related terms, one lake versus data lake mode. So I'm going to explain One Lake. One Lake is the OneDrive of Fabric. So think OneDrive the way it is to Microsoft 365. That is the same way One Lake it is to Microsoft Fabric. So everything within Microsoft Fabric where their data is being stored, everything is what we call the One Lake. And also it can be done. You can have it in even in your Windows Explorer where you can have your One Lake there, and every data, no matter the data sets that is coming in, you can put it on your One Lake. But one thing there is that direct lake is direct lake is separate from it because direct lake is just the way in which you are trying to bring in your data in for your reporting. It's not about, let's say you want to store in explanation. Oh, I like that. Thank you for bringing this up, Christopher. So one lake is just one drive, really. Everything that you have to put in into the into your fabric, anything as far as the data is data, you have it there. It's just like that. But one thing there is that for direct lake is different, way different from your one lake. Direct lake is just what Christopher explained earlier on. You just need to just combine the differences. Christopher, you want to say more about your direct lake?
Yeah, basically,
Hello, Christopher.
can you hear me?
Now
Oh,
I can
did
hear you.
we? Oh, okay, great. Um, yeah, with direct late, what we've been doing is basically trying to connect Power BI directly to the Fabric underlying storage, which means that when you are creating a delta table in a lakehouse, we are already optimizing the way we store the data. So Power BI knows how to query it at blazing fast performance. So instead of going through a SQL endpoint, so Power BI, you're doing some filtering and manipulation within Power BI. Then at some point, Power BI will generate a SQL code that would be passed onto the SQL endpoint that will be processed, and then you get your data. With Direct Lake, Power BI can directly tap into One Lake storage, directly accessing the files, the data files behind the delta tables, which give you, as I said, blazing fast performance over direct query mode, and also eliminates the need for any import. So basically, as soon at the second where you're modifying your delta table through a pipeline, for example, then Power BI report directly gets the new data without any refresh. You may need to refresh the actual Power BI page, report page, but you are not doing like a dataset refresh as is mandatory right now with the import mode.
Great. So right now we are going to move into secure and monitor your data warehouse. So it's so important we talk about a little bit about security, how you monitor the things that happen within your data warehouse. And Christopher will be taking us through that. Then we go into what we call the demo sessions.
Yeah, and just before that, we had a question we didn't answer
Okay.
about data warehouse. And the question is, what is the recommended way to generate a surrogate key in Fabric? Since I believe identity columns are not yet supported. So first, I don't know who actually asks the question, but you're right. Identity columns are not yet supported in Microsoft Fabric Data Warehouse. So how do you solve that issue? Well, you need to do some tips and tricks with row number, row count. There is an article out there on some blog post. I can't remember the name of the author on top of my head, but show a bit of code that allows you to actually implement that with the current limitation of Microsoft Fabric.
Okay. There's one more question before you go into security and monitoring. Is data warehouse stored in tables or in packets in Fabric?
Data that you store in a data warehouse are behind the scene stored as delta tables. Indeed, you can access every data stored in the data warehouse as delta tables directly from the OneLake storage.
Okay, great. So there's a question, but I think that Shannon has done a great job answering that already. So is a question about language of data sets that happens in Power BI. How does it happen in Fabric? But Shannon has answered that, or do you want to take that?
I don't see the question in the chat, so maybe we can come back later
Okay,
to that one.
okay, great. That's fine.
Um, let's talk about securing and monitoring your data warehouse. So I will be doing a quite a brief introduction about that topic, just because we have an entire episode up next into the Fabric Learn Live series that goes through administration and governance of Microsoft Fabric. But basically, in terms of security, we have a few things. First, we have a role-based access control to the warehouse and its data. We have different levels of it. The first one is at the workspace level. You can give read-write access or read-only access at the warehouse level. On the item level, you will also be able to just get access to one specific warehouse and not the entire workspace data. And coming up next very soon, we announced that column level security and row level security as well. Obviously, Microsoft Fabric runs on a Microsoft Cloud, so you have SSL encryption between the warehouse and the client applications. Data as at rest is also encrypted with the Azure Storage Service. And you have, in terms of identity management, to connect to Microsoft Fabric, you will need to have an Azure AD account, so you can enable all the great feature of Azure AD or Microsoft Entra now, like multi-factor authentication or conditional access policies, etc., etc. In terms of monitoring, you have different things that are available to you. First, you have as an admin of Fabric Workspace, you have access to the Fabric Capacity and Metrics application that gives you a great monitoring information about which user is consuming most of the resources, how many queries have been executed, what are the top hungry queries, etc. And if you're familiar with Azure SQL or even SQL Server, you would find DMV, data management views, to get access. For example, here we have a list of 3 ones. Each connection that is currently opened to the data warehouse as a number of sessions, or each active request, each active queries for a specific session. For example, with the sys dmexec request, you can easily identify long-running queries that may be impacting the availability or the execution of other queries within your database. That is most of the time the case when you have a long or big importing job. Something is, or maybe an analytical query that is not properly optimized. You can easily identify which of these queries are basically burning up all your capacity, and go back to the developer that is using that is running that query to try to optimize things. Great. I think it's time for switching to our exercise, David, right?
Yes. Yes, and this is the part that a lot of people wants to see and kind of and understand. Everything we've been saying for the past 1 hour, you kind of see how we walk through the process. Don't worry, Chris is coming back. So, so let's look at the screen right now. So when you're trying to analyze data, you want to be able to create a data warehouse, then analyze your data. So let's look at it from, let's go to the online and let's do the demo together. So right now I'm going to click on the data warehouse. So for those who don't have, we've shown you how to activate your fabric. So when you're done activating your fabric, you're going to have the opportunity to see all this data engineering, data factory, data science, data warehouse, the Power BI, and the real-time analytics. So we have the data warehouse. Now I'm going to click the data warehouse. Now in the data warehouse, I'm going to do, let's say, learn live warehouse, and I'm going to click create. So it's going to create the warehouse for us. So it's going to take a couple of minutes or seconds, really, depending on my internet. Um, So let's wait a little bit. So, but while we are doing that, what we are expecting is that we want a simple front page like this. So we're just waiting a little bit because of the internet is still creating. So let's wait a little bit. Good. So now we have this already. So you can see create tables with T SQL, get data with the new data flow gen 2, or you want to use the data pipelines, or you want to start with a sample. But we want to use the T SQL. So we're going to click it. Now we have this already, but we want to use the link that we have here. So I'm going to remove this and I'm going to copy it back. Then I'm going to click run. So now what I'm expecting is that it should create the headers of tables that I need. The headers, the column headers, that is what I need. So it's going to refresh a little bit. It's refreshing here. So what I expect when I click schemas, click the DBOs, then click tables. So we can see it here. This is dim product, and dim product is here already. So, but also again is that we want to be able to put some data inside of those columns. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to click a new SQL query. Then I'm going to Ctrl C and Ctrl V and click run. But one thing there is that it's very fast. Within some seconds, you're good to go. And when we click it, is also running. And welcome back, Christopher. Yeah. So it succeeded, and so we should look at this right now. So it should just give us some data sets. It's loading right now. Yeah. So this is it already. So we have it. So it means it works. We're going to also start looking at getting. There's a lot of data sets that we have. So we're going to click this link. So it gives us this. I'm just going to just Control A, Control C, and I'm going to click on a new query. Then I'm going to just Control VEs, and I'm just going to click run. So let's see.
And obviously, you are doing a lot of things in that query, so it may take a few,
Yeah,
maybe a
yeah, it's
minute
going
or
to take.
so to actually run.
Yeah, let's see. So, oh, okay. Think. Do you want to pick it up? I think I missed the link I'm using, but I'm just going to continue from there.
Yeah.
So let's see if everything will come up. So yes, so you can now see all the whole tables are available right now. These are all the tables that we're going to be using for our data warehouse demos. So over to you, Christopher. You can let's look at the SQL questions and the things that we want to analyze using the query side.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so you were here running that SQL query, and as we've seen in your environment, it created a bunch of different tables for me. And now what we can do also is actually building the model. So if we switch here at the bottom left of the UI, you can see that I can just look at the data, or I can query the data either with SQL code or the Visual Query Editor. And I can also go here and do the modeling. And I've already done the modeling on that environment, but you already showed, David, how to actually do it. You simply have to drag and drop the keys between one table to another to open up the relational editor. So that's basically what we are doing here, specifying the cardinality, for example, in the different tables. And at the end, we get our famous star schema. So we have the fact table at the center of our stars and all the dimensions around. I agree, it's not really like my drawing right now is not looking like a star, but you need to but a little bit of imagination here. Um, so that's one of the cool thing of Microsoft Fabric Warehouse experiences. You can actually do a lot of different things right within the model. You can also like hide some tables from the default datasets. You can go here on the little eye and actually remove that from the default dataset. Or we can obviously do it in specific columns, which is great. And you can also create new measures with DAX right within the model editor. So that's one of the cool things you can do. And we didn't say it before, but everything we are doing right now in this exercise is done online. So you have no tool to install. You just need to have a browser, and it works obviously on Mac and Linux as well. So you can actually develop your data warehouse just with a browser. That's it. And that's pretty cool. You don't need to install any specific tool. Obviously, if you're more like a developer focused, you can do code as well. For example, you can download the SQL database projects. If you update the tooling, and if you know SQL database projects, they now support Microsoft Fabric Warehouse, which means that you can version the SQL to create your tables and your schema into a Git repository, for example. That's completely out of the scope of today's session, but I just wanted to mention it here. Um, so let's go to query that data. So I will go back to my query pane, and I will actually load up a script. So I've just copy paste that code into an existing query that I shared with my coworkers here, and I can just select the first query and run it, and I will explain it while it's running. It's very simple. Basically, I'm getting all the sales in my data warehouse, and I'm joining by the date. And what I want to do is to compute the sum of all the sales per year and per month. That's it. And here I have the results. Again, I can save it as a table, download Excel file, visualize results right from here. Um, and in the exercise, we are also doing a slightly different version of that query. So let me again select that second query, run it while I explain it. And basically, what we have modified here is we have made a new join on the customer dimension table because we wanted to do that aggregation, but with the countries as well. So getting the total amount of sales that has been done in a specific region in a specific month of a specific year. If you're already doing SQL queries, that's very basic stuff. But it just shows you that basically, if you want to use a Fabric data warehouse, and if you already know SQL, then you're almost already up and running. One of the cool things you can do as well is if you're running this kind of queries very often, SQL Data Warehouse in Fabric also supports other type of elements than tables. You can create views, you can create functions, and stored procedures as well. And so the next exercise, and actually let me bring up another query I've made is basically as the same select where we've just added a create view as with the code. And one of the tip as well is if you select a query in the query editor, you can just type on this button, save as view, type a name live. It will generate the SQL code for you and execute it. So it's very easy to go from, oh, yes,
Oh,
that's on
okay.
me. That's on me. That's not the right query. But it is very easy to go from a query to a view. And once your view has been created, if you know SQL databases, you know it, you can just do a SQL query on top of that view. That's as simple as this. David, do you want to jump in for the visual query, as I know you love that?
Yes, yes, I love the visual query because it reduces the stress of you writing a lot of codes. So, and I think one of the beautiful thing Microsoft have done with Microsoft Fabric is to say that either you're a developer or a data person, you're a developer, maybe you're a data analyst, and you really don't use too much heavy on the SQL side, or you for somebody who does a lot of transformation on Power Query, and you want to be able to see how it flows within the fabric. So it's just beautiful to see how it works. So I'm going to take you through the create a visual query. So the same thing that you do, let's go and click on the visual query. Now let's say that we want to merge two queries together using something. We want to use a column to merge them together. So it's just drag and drop, drag and drop. So I'm dragging the fact sales here. So and it's loading a little bit. So it's loading. So let's see. Let's load in the dim products. So if you love Power Query, for those in the Power BI side, this is it. So when people talk, so because I manage a community here in Lagos, Nigeria, a lot of people think Microsoft Fabric is kind of a little bit advanced. So, but when you bring in your friend from Power Query into data flow and into your visual query now, you're going to see the connection, and it's an easy way for you to jump in and understand so many things. So let's drag in the dim product. Good. Now we have this. So now let's assume we want to join, we want to merge this together. I'm going to click on this plus sign. Now, if you can look at it, just so many things here. You have your manage column, your reduce row, you want to sort, you want to transform, you want to combine, and you can see the different things that you can do. So for those who use Power Query, you will understand some of these things already, even in your Power Query. So let's something. So let's merge query. So I'm going to click on merge query. Now, which table do you want to merge? So you're going to see it here. We are merging it with the dim product. And we're going to use the key that connects both together. So I'm clicking on product key and also product key here. So, and for people who know Power Query, you're going to just understand this very, very easy. And you're just going to click OK. Now you can see it already that we've merged them together. So, and this is how it is. And now dim product is now inside of the fact sales. And you can click on the filter to say, okay, I want only the product name. So then you click OK. So now you can see your results and good. And also, even if you want to look at the SQL that you should have written without, let's say, the visual query, you can just click here and it's going to show you everything. So imagine you writing this when you can just click 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, then you're good to go. So, and that is how beautiful the visual query is. So visualizing data um, is just the same thing. You remember that we've been able to connect this data. Christopher has talked about connecting the fact table to the dimension. I'm going to go back to the model view. So
And
we've
maybe David, we
connected them.
can. Sorry to interrupt. Maybe
Okay.
David, we can leave that exercise to viewers to actually do at home and just showcase the end result.
Oh, that is fine. So if you want to do that, please, on
Yep.
LinkedIn, on Twitter, you can actually run through the module and tell us that, hey, David, hey, Christopher, I finished up with the visualizing the data of the fact sales, the dimension customer, the dimension date, and also the dim product. Okay, so we're going to go back to the PowerPoint slides.
Yeah.
Are there any questions, Christopher?
Yeah, there was one question about how can we, like, for example, if we have a data stored in a CSV file and we want to create a table out of only the schema of that CSV file, not the actual data, how we can achieve that. And I don't know if you know a better answer than mine, David, but to me,
I
in
have, yeah,
SQL, it might be a bit difficult
yes,
to achieve that. I would probably use notebooks for actually doing that because within the Spark notebook, you can easily read only a subset of the data and it infers the schema and just create a table based on the schema of a source data file and not using the actual data in that file.
exactly. Because really, I've not really tested that. So, but you've given a very good answers. Now, I and Christopher will be talking about this part, the knowledge check, and really, we want everybody to do this with us so that we can test our knowledge based on the conversations that we've been having for the past 1 hour, 30 minutes. So let's go to the first one. So this is the question. Christopher, can you read the question for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. And this question should showcase in your screens. If you go on aka.ms/polls, you can vote in live. So the first question of this knowledge check is, which type of table should an insurance company use to store supplier attribute details for aggregating claims? And you
Mm,
have three possible choices. The first one is fact table. The second one is dimension table, and the third one is staging table. So go ahead, go on aka.ms/polls and start your vote. It's so one of the difficult thing of that question is you cannot really cheat because we talk about these three types of tables. So it's
exactly.
there is no like obvious choices you can eliminate. And I see few votes coming in the chat. So take again a few seconds to answer, and we will disclose the actual result in a few seconds. Oh, there is clearly one winner. Looking at the votes right now. So nobody interesting. Nobody is voting for staging table. So we
That
might
is
know,
understandable.
yeah, that is at least one wrong answer.
Yeah.
And there is clearly one winner. So I think we can reveal the correct
Okay.
answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dimension table. Um, do you want David to explain why? Is the
Um,
correct answer?
Yeah, so one of the things we need to understand also is that the fact table does not give us a lot of information about an attribute. So the dimension is the one that gives us more things about, let's say, a store, a customer, a product, those things like that. So that is why the dimension table is. So because of time, we'll go to the next question. So let me read this question.
Mm-hmm.
So also, please, you can go to the aka.ms/polls to answer this question. What is dataset in the data warehouse experience? I think I said this, I can actually remember. A is dataset are semantic models with metric that are used to create reports. B is dataset are collections of files that contain unorganized data. Then C, datasets are a set of variables and observation that haven't been cleaned or pre-processed. I think this answer should be very, very just easy. I think so.
Yeah, and looking at the votes that are coming in, there is also a clear good answer from the audience. So that's great. We will wait a few seconds to get more votes to give you some time to actually vote. But I think we have a clear winner as well here.
Good. It means that everyone is actually listening, and that is a good one. That is a good one. So let's reveal the answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, so dataset are a semantic model with metric that are used to create reports. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, the semantic model is a notion that is clearly taking up space lately. It's basically how you can empower people that will actually analyze data, but actually have questions about the data, to have a data model that is understandable from a business point of view and not just from a technical point of view. Uh, if you're a business analyst, or if you're a product manager, or if you're I don't know, a factory manager, factory director, you don't want to see like dim date, fact, sales, blah blah blah, etc. It doesn't appeal to you. It doesn't answer to your own questions. So data sets are in the Microsoft Fabric world and the Microsoft Power BI world are a way to actually build that semantic layer that will be used today by tools like Power BI to query the data. But I really encourage you to, again, watch out for the Microsoft Fabric blog at community.fabric.com. Community.fabric.microsoft.com, sorry,
Yeah.
because we will have announcements on that space. And you may have seen that we announced but not released Copilot on your data. So basically, ask a question, and Microsoft Fabric will find the data, create a query, and send you the results. All of this will be able to be possible because you get a semantic layer. And very quick, I wanted to, a few people voted for the option C, which is datasets are a set of variables and observation that haven't been cleaned or pre-processed. That's more, but that's not an exact definition, but that's more close to a staging table.
Yeah.
Datasets are at the full right of the data process, but you cannot get more cleaned and pre-processed data. That's the one you got at the dataset level.
Yeah, makes sense. So because of time, we'll go to the third question. So what is the purpose of item permission in a workspace? So A, to grant access to all items within a workspace. B, to grant access to specific columns within a table. Then C, to grant access to individual warehouse for downstream consumption. Also, you can go to aka.ms/polls to answer this question. Christopher, what do you think? It looks a bit tricky. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky because we I actually talk about permissions, but I didn't show things in the UI, for example, in the interface. So to answer
Exactly.
that question, you should have paid attention like to a 2 minute segment over 1 hour and a half content. So if you get that vote right, congrats, kudos to you. If you don't get the correct answer, no worries. As I said before, we have an entire episode later in I think in October, later in October, going through administering Microsoft Fabric, and we can see that it's a most from the votes that are coming in. That's a most debated question.
Yeah,
So maybe we can reveal the answer, and I can go through very quick
exactly.
the different
Exactly.
options. So the correct answer is answer C, to grant access to individual warehouse for downstream consumptions. Basically, you need to think about the hierarchy of items within Microsoft Fabric. At the top level of Microsoft Fabric, you have the tenant, which is most of the case basically the organization you're working for. So for David and I, the tenant is the Microsoft employees tenant. And obviously you need to, like the tenant administrator need to give you permissions to access Microsoft Fabric, and you need to have an Azure AD or a Microsoft Entra account to get access to the tenant. That's the first, I would say, the first door to Microsoft Fabric. The second door, the second access level is a workspace. Workspaces are kind of websites in Microsoft SharePoint or Teams in Microsoft Teams. They are spaces where collaboration happens and data
Yeah.
is stored. So basically, each time you need to do something in Microsoft Fabric, you actually need to have a workspace either already created or you need to create one. How you organize your workspaces is very dependent on your organization. You can have one workspace per team. You can have some global shared workspaces. You can have one workspace per project and even per environment like test, development, and production. So there is all kind of ways to organize your different workspaces. And you have permission levels at the workspaces level. You can grant access as a viewer or as a contributor to a workspace you own. And then there is the item level. So everything within a workspace. And within a workspace, you will find Lakehouse, data warehouse, datasets, Power BI reports, data pipelines, Jupyter, Spark notebooks, and a lot of other type of items. And you can give access to someone just to a specific item, and in that case just to a specific warehouse and not the entire list of items. It's
Yeah.
basically, if you compare to OneDrive, either you give access to a PowerPoint or a Word document, or you give access to the entire folder. That's the same thing with item permission and workspace permission.
Makes sense. Thank you. So we are going to go to the summary right now. Good job to everyone that participated during the questions and answer session. Thank you very much. Um, for the summary, what we've done today is to walk you through what is Microsoft Fabric, also what is a data warehouse within the Microsoft Fabric. Christopher took us through understanding the differences between a data warehouse versus also a data lakehouse using Fabric Notes. And I saw some of the comments about Fabric Notes. They love Fabric Note. Thank you very much. Is one of the awesome work of Christopher. Then also we walk in through the works within data warehouse in Fabric, how to understand it, how to work with it. And also we talked about creating and managing the data set within data warehouse. Um, so for us to know that we have done a good job today, please help us complete your exercise. Remember that we've not done the data visualization side. Please visualize the report and tweet at us or make a post on LinkedIn and let us see the things you've done. If you have questions, please write to us and we're going to see what we can do with that. But don't forget, don't miss the next episode next week, Tuesday, getting started with real time analytics. This is one of the side that I don't want you to miss because the world is going into a level which analytics is now real time. And how do we do real time analytics within Microsoft Fabric is one session that you really don't want to you don't want to miss. Anything, Christopher?
No, you're right. Real-time data in Microsoft Fabric is kind of a hidden superpower or Microsoft Fabric. Most of the platforms are analytics platform are either doing non-real-time or real-time data. And with Microsoft Fabric, you can do both of them at the same time using the same copy of the data without having to duplicate data between the two systems. So there is a ton of things to learn in that next session.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to Shannon. Thank you to Scott. Thank you to everyone that came into this show today. I'm happy to see the things that you guys are chatting up and the questions that have been answered. Thank you very much. Thank you to my co-host Christopher for helping also during the presentation, and thank you to Anna at the back end, the production team, for making everything seamless. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day and see you in the next episode of Learn Live.